Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the Infinite Baffle channel. My name is Naim and today we are joined by a juggernaut of the amplification market, the Naim NSC 222 and the 250 6th generation power amplifier. I cannot believe we've not looked at any Naim equipment specifically on the channel up to now, but here we are joined by the pre-amplifier package that comes in just under £12,500. So, you know, big money, and for that you expect big performance. The question that we're going to be looking to answer in today's video is, does it deliver that performance? If you do enjoy the video, as always, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe if you are new for weekly hi-fi content. As always, thank you so much for the support on the channel. Last week's video, again, amazing amount of comments and likes and shares, all that kind of stuff. If you could do that again, that'd be massively appreciated. But let's kick things off by looking at the design and the aesthetics of the classic series. When it comes to the 222 and the 250, I think it's fair to say that they do live up to that classic Naim design. They've got a template, they know what they're doing, people love it, and the 222 and the 250 are no exception. I'm particularly a fan of the 222. I love the screen on the right hand side, and the dial when it's illuminated, and the illuminated Naim badge in the middle looks absolutely fantastic. One gripe I will say that I always have with Naim designs is that I think, and this is very much personal preference, I think that when they're sat on a rack with all of the Naim equipment, I think they look absolutely stunning, but I just never think they sit particularly well when you mix them with other manufacturers. Now, obviously the package that we're looking at today is designed to work together, so some might say obviously it's a non-starter of an issue, but I just always think, yeah, maybe that's just me. Let me know in the comments. The Naim stuff always looks great together, but not so great when you mix it with other things. Speaking of small grievances, I have seen a few people online complaining about the volume dial. Now, obviously, when you're looking at kit that's at this kind of level, you know, just over £6,000 per unit, people are going to want these things to be absolutely perfect, and rightfully so. These are special items, incredibly high end, so any issue that you have could be something that could put you off, as small as it might be. And the volume dial is one thing that I've seen a few people complain about. Now, as you know, I, more than anyone, absolutely love a potentiometer, I believe the word is, which is where you have a dial that clicks as you turn it. The Naim unfortunately doesn't have that, but I still don't have any major issues with the dial. I actually think aesthetically it looks really, really nice. It actually reminds me quite a lot of the recent Cyrus stuff that we looked at, which I absolutely loved the design of. The way that the dial illuminates around the volume pot, I think looks really classy. When it comes to the screen, again, I'm always a massive fan of any screen on an amplifier. I love the fact you can see the album art. You've got your lovely menu on there, which looks really nice and neat as well. But what I will say is, when you're on the screen where it just shows the album art, I think the album art looks a little bit lost kind of in the middle. It doesn't take up the whole screen, and that feels like a little bit of a waste. I'm not sure if you can actually do this, but I'd like it if there was a setting where you can put it on the screen where it shows the album art and the album information, which I'm sure there is a way that you can do that, because on that screen I think it looks absolutely great. But you're seeing a couple of the shots when you're just showing the album art, it almost looks a little bit lost to me. I mean, again, we are talking very nitpicky little grievances here, but it's something that you've got to mention. On the screen now, we'll put some of the tech specs for the 222 and 250. And again, I don't think you can look past the fact that we're talking just over £6,000 per unit here, £12,500 just under for the package. And for that, again, you're going to want something special. But actually, before we talk about some specific specifications, bit of a mouthful, I've got to say Naim have absolutely hit it out the park with making this feel like a special piece of kit, because both of these units, when you first open them up, come in this sort of wonderful presentation white box, and as you open it up you get revealed some lovely high quality accessories, the remote control, the interconnects to go between the two products, again all real high quality stuff. And I mentioned this in the Hi-Fi Man is Vinyl video last week, but it is spectacular when you get something that feels special. When you're paying big money like this, that's exactly what you want. And again, Naim have not disappointed on this front. Outside of the price, a couple of the things that do jump out to me when you do look at the tech specs. So firstly, the power behind the 250 6th generation. I mean, 100 watts of power into 8 ohms, or 190 just over into 4. It's an exceptional amount of power, and as we'll talk about in a second, really helps get the most out of that 222 and deliver a fantastic, fantastic sound. When it comes to the preamplifier, I think the one thing that a lot of people are going to be looking for here is a lot of connectivity, a lot of options, and again, it does not disappoint point, plenty of analog and digital inputs, as well as some of the NAIMS specific DIN interconnects on the back. On top of that, you've also got some fantastic wireless connectivity, as well as a phono stage. So you do have a lot of stuff, all of a very high quality, built into the 222. And again, I think the fact that you've got Bluetooth support, Tidal support, Spotify support, internet radio, this really is a product that can cover all bases. Whilst we're talking about interconnects, I will say one other small gripe that I do often have with NAIMS systems is the fact that they remind me a little bit of Apple in a way, whereby, you know, you've got your system, and to make it work, sometimes you need NAIMS specific stuff, just like you do with Apple, with their very specific cables that don't work with anything else. NAIMS is sort of like that as well. And again, some people would say it's a non-issue because it all works well together, produces great sound. And again, synergy is absolutely off the charts here. It works incredibly well as it's designed to. But I know there's a lot of people out there that like to mix and match. It's just a lot more difficult to do that with NAIMS products, I often find, with their specific DIN cabling and specific power supplies. And speaking of the power supply as well, one of the things I should definitely mention is both of these units you can get a separate power supply upgrade for, but it's almost £6,000, which when you're paying just over £6,000 for the units themselves, is a little bit steep to me. Now, admittedly, I've not actually heard this power supply upgrade in action, so maybe it does take it to another whole new level. But again, it just feels a little bit steep to me when you paid £6,000 for the unit to be paying almost another £6,000 again for the power supply upgrade. As I say, Focal, the sound signature, is just something that I'm a massive fan of. And pardon the pun here, but this NAIMS 222 and 250 combo just helped amplify that and just take everything to the next level. Whether it was the musicality and warmth, whether it was the detail, the incredible punchy low end. I mean, my God, these 250s have got a lot of power to give, and you can tell that because the bass is punchy, it's controlled, it produces a huge sound overall. And I was absolutely blown away. I mean, I've got to admit, I listened to the 250 and the 222 not long after they launched, just over a year ago, I think it was now. And at the time, I was impressed. I thought it was great. But coming back to it to listen to it today, I had forgotten just how special this system is. When I first turned on the system, it was like a wall of sound coming at me, and yet, despite the fact there was so much going on, the separation and detail was absolutely fantastic. You could really pick apart the different areas of the music. I mean, this was never clearer for me than the very first album that we put on, which was the Clairo Live at the Electric Lady album, something that I've only very recently discovered. I'm listening to a lot of Clairo at the moment, and this is a very well recorded studio album, and her vocals, the mid-range, when listening to the system, was absolutely effortless. It was fantastic, and it almost felt like you were sat there in the studio. Like I said, the sound was so big, and you could kind of got this three-dimensional sound stage around you where you could pick out the different parts of the band that were playing. And again, it was an absolute joy to listen to. The fact that that sounded so good also then inspired me to listen to the Nirvana Live MTV Unplugged album. And again, this is an album that I've heard hundreds of times in the past, but in this system, in this setting, it was like being there. Kurt Cobain's voice, again, very different, obviously, to Clairo's. You know, if you've not listened to these people, they are very different vocals, but again, both sounded equally crisp, equally just the detail, the depth, the staging, absolutely incredible. And I mean, some people are going to say, well, listen, Niall, this is a £12,000 system. You'd expect all of this, but honestly, the levels that this NAIMS system produces are absolutely second to none. Fantastic. Given how fantastic and three-dimensional the staging had been listening to Clairo and Nirvana, I thought, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make life really difficult now. We're going to put on some Knocked Loose, the album from last year that is just almost a mess, just a wall of metal sound that is so hard to listen to in terms of picking at different levels and instrumentation, because it is quite literally a wall of aggressive sound. But I've got to say again, the system handled it incredibly well, and the drums were absolutely popping when listening to this album. It was, again, an absolutely incredible experience. And again, to me, these are the more difficult tracks to listen to on this kind of a level, because there is such a lot going on. It can be difficult to kind of control all of that, but the low end, again, incredibly punchy, incredibly controlled. Drums were popping off. It was absolutely incredible. Again, because of how well it was controlling that low end and how punchy the bass had been, I thought it was only right to put on something else that was going to really test that level of the system. And I decided to put on a bit of reggaeton, an artist called Rosalia, who's got a couple of really punchy tracks. And again, rhythmically, instrumentally, timing was absolutely fantastic. Level of detailing was absolutely fantastic. This system really did just, it felt like a 10 out of 10 on so many different levels. No matter what we threw at it, the sound was absolutely exquisite. I think this is one of those instances for me where it's actually very difficult to pinpoint exactly why this is so special, because there's not one glaring thing that really stands out to me. It's just everything about it is done to an incredibly high level. It's a fantastic system. And I think I mentioned this briefly earlier, but the biggest compliment I can pay to this is that it was just a joy to listen to. It was fun. I found myself listening there and almost forgetting that I was doing any video, really, an overview or a review. I was just putting on music and just enjoying it for exactly what it was. It's engaging and so easy to get lost in, which again, sometimes when systems are really detailed is not the case. But again, the fact that this system sounds as detailed and as incredible as it does is just a compliment to me, to not only the NAIMS stuff here, the 222 and the 250, but also the Sopra 2s. Just as a partnership, as a whole, this system was absolutely phenomenal. I'm sat here thinking, how on earth do I end this video? How do I summarize all of this? Because there will be people out there that will say, Niall, it's a 12.5 grand system, not including the speakers. Obviously it sounds fantastic. And yes, that is correct. It sounds absolutely out of this world. And I do truly believe that if you are someone that's looking to invest in a 12.5 grand system, again, not including the speakers, you obviously do need to listen to it first. You can't just watch a video and go, yes, that's going to be for me. You need to get down to your local dealer. Again, we're here at Audio Affair where we're listening to them, and you need to listen to it to get a true feel. But if you're even close to being in a position where you can afford to have something like this as your home listening system, then I am just so envious, because whether it's the vocals, whether it's the mid-range, whether it's the low end, this system was absolutely unbelievable. And I'd love to hear in the comment section if any of you guys have also been lucky enough to listen to it, because again, we're talking pinnacle of hi-fi kind of stuff here. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, and make sure to let me know in the comment section down there if you have listened to the system, as I say, and what your thoughts were on it. I mean, maybe you'll say, you know what, Noel, it wasn't for me, but I struggle to think there's going to be someone out there that loves music that can't enjoy that system. I mean, it is absolutely sensational. But yeah, that is going to round off the video, guys. Again, if you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs up. We will see you all in next week's video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.